Yo, 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 what?
Yo, yo.
We out.
And Ben.
With Ben.
Do you want to get any?
We're going fishing. Because
we vlogging.
we vlogging today.
Is what goes vlogging the night.
What goes vlogging the night. Make sure you like and subscribe. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers.
Is that what I heard last night? You guys vlogging in the night?
Vlogging in the night?
That was something else.
You heard in the night? Is us vlogging? We're
So,
vlogging so hard, right?
Oh my god.
we're gonna try to catch a fish.
Hard at night. They're no joke, you guys.
No joke. We're serious. Here is the trout pond. Dude, I'm thinking this corner right over here. Or the, ooh, that back. Oh shit, look at that water slide.
Oh Jesus, do not go down. Ankle rolled.
Yeah, we're on the board.
On the board, baby. Let's go.
Nice little perch.
Little baby boy.
Yeah, buddy. On the marshmallow.
On the old marsh. Hell yeah, dude. Alright, buddy, let me have this back. Thanks, dude. Mwah. Look at that boy. Beautiful little fishy. Thanks, buddy. Right,
On the marshmallow.
Put your back on gently. Go, buddy. There he goes. Hey, let's go. Shit, yeah, I bet he got a fucking fish. Let's go.
You guys missed. I knew I got it as soon as I felt it.
Let's go. Hell yeah. So what do you see over here? Riley caught the biggest one. Oh my god, yes.
What the?
Dude, let's go. All right, you said you gotta catch the biggest one. No, I caught the biggest one. Dude, that's a good sized fish.
It's a smallmouth.
No shit, that's a good sized toad, dude. Oh yeah. Yes, sir. Hey,
Another perch.
Another perch. I'm the perch king today, baby. All right, Ben, you got to beat Riley.
Boom. Got another smallie. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, we just got the Grayling. We're checking out the museum here in a moment.
Ready with the cold drinks because it's a little bit of a scorcher.
Scorcher, we got the Gatorade.
Excitement levels are rising.
Yeah,
well,
so
we're like T-minus like
we haven't
4
dropped
hours?
it yet in this vlog, but about to have our documentary screening today with the whole Pere Cheney Plague in the Pines crew.
A sold out audience at that.
130 people attending our documentary screening,
I might be nervous, I'm not gonna lie.
and then a Q&A after
This is gonna be
with
awesome.
a questions coordinator, curator. I don't know.
Curator? Coordinator? Both
Coordinator.
work. I'd say
So-
both are great.
We out here.
Yeah, we out here. Grayling. We'll see you guys in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. We're vlogging.
We're vlogging.
We're vlogging.
We're walking.
Vlogging and vlogging. What are we doing, Trev?
Vlogging.
What are we doing right now?
We're walking currently to the Rolling Oak Brewery to see if we can get some Plague in the Pines Pere Cheney beer. It's actually Pere Cheney beer. But yeah, I think that would be awesome to go try out something that we're premiering into tonight. Excited. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not hard.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you. For taste, Ghost. Pere Cheney, Plague in the Pines. Wait, no, that's our movie. This is what's chips.
Chug
Berry
it.
cherry. Tastes like Michigan. I didn't get quite as much of a ghost taste as I anticipated, but let's do it. Pere Cheney. Plague in the Pines. Let's do it.
Going right there. It might be a little bit wrinkly, but they'll be on there. Look at that. Perfect.
Yeah, we wanted like
It sounds so good. This is the story.
coming out to this screening. We have the filmmakers here for a Q&A, though before we do that, I believe they have something that they would like to do.
We'll see. Oh, okay, it works. Okay, there we go. I was like, okay, wait. Tara, do you want to do the honors for this? Sure. Well, first of all, thank you all for coming again, and we have a very special award to give out to a very special person. So, Tara, here you go.
Okay, so we're actually going to ask Gail to come forward, please. I can't see everybody.
She's a...
The restroom. There she is. Am I getting up there? I'll come to you. So Gail, we wanted to honor you because this documentary would not have happened without you and the help of the Historical Society. So you have won our MVP award. The best.
We love you. The Historical Society is the best.
All right, so we have all of our filmmakers, all of the crew that worked on this film here with us for Q&A. My name is Ashley, I'll be running it. So I will have them each go through and introduce themselves.
So I'm Tommy Tombstone, I'm the director of the film. Hello.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm with Crossroads of Curiosities. I edited the film. What else? Is that what else?
My name is Trevor Jensen. I'm part of What Goes Bump Tonight, and I did videography and investigating.
My name is Riley Clark, and I'm also with What Goes Bump Tonight. I did the drone aerial photography and some camera work and some the media.
My name is Tara Gustafson, and I'm part of Paranormal XP, and I did the research for the project as well as the witch stuff.
My name is Brianna Shear. I'm with Crossroads of Curiosities, and I helped with the investigation and some of the local stuff because I'm from the local town of Grayling, Michigan. I'm Angela, and there's Crossroads of Curiosities. And I was one of the investigators, and I just did pretty much whatever they needed.
I'm Caleb Brennan. I'm technically with the Non-Sasquatch Productions, I guess, and I did a lot of the camera work.
All right, well, thank you all for being here. I'm going to start us off with a few questions, and then we'll open up to the audience if you guys have any questions for them.
So anyone that answers questions, we do have some ask questions. We have like, I think 6 signed copies of these posters, so if you ask a question, you can come up and get one of these. I just want to add that.
I will add, give it like 10 years and they might be worth something.
All right, so to start off, what drew you to Pere Cheney and this project? Why did you want to tell this story?
So yeah, I started out researching locations in Michigan because I started paranormal investigating about around 2020, around when COVID hit. And so I was doing various vlogs and stuff on YouTube. I started out on YouTube. And I started researching places around Michigan. There was actually an article, what was that one called? It was like through that news thing that they actually wrote an article about.
Yeah, it was a local radio station wrote this article about the witch of Pere Cheney, like all the articles sensationalizing the witch and that whole aspect of it.
So yeah, I would read their articles, and that's actually how I found a lot of the locations that I did. So I found, obviously, Pere Cheney on there, and I'm super into, like, what do you call it? Like found footage films, like the Blair Witch Project and stuff, so I thought it was kind of like the perfect setting to make like a first like full-fledged documentary. So it just immediately sparked my interest in making the film. I kind of got all these guys involved.
Anybody else that wants to add how they got involved in the project?
So me and Trevor started What Goes Bump Tonight in 2019, and even before that, I've always had a fascination in the paranormal, and have investigated a lot of Michigan cemeteries. And this one actually came about. We had a live stream with Tommy as one of our guests, and we were just covering a wide range of haunted cemeteries in Michigan. And this was one that he brought up to us, and we were like, wow, that's actually a really, really interesting legend. And it kind of developed further and further with more interest. So like, wow, we got to make it out there one day. And you just watched what the end result was.
And a hot diggity dog, we make it happen.
As you said, and as we've seen, the Historical Society was a huge part, instrumental in making this film. So can you tell us a little bit about how they helped you, whether that was providing documents and information that you weren't able to find through your own research, connecting you with people in the area, just elaborating on that bit?
So to answer like the previous question too, because it ties into it for me, I've been making documentaries for 10 years now, and what drew me to Pere Cheney in this story in particular was that it's pretty much a clean slate. You think when you were pitched the idea of paranormal documentary, I think, okay, cool. So do we have the budget to go to Ireland? We're going to go to a castle. Like, where are all the ghosts at? And he said, oh, it's a field. A field? So then we go up there and just trying to picture in your mind, it's just incredible. You go there and there's the feeling you get is there's so much history here that's just crying out, and call that what you want, call it a haunting, call it just energy, call it history, if that's what it is, just history calling out. And I just felt that the minute I went there, that there's so much history here that we don't know and that is erased to time. So diving deeper into it and seeing that the MVP in the room, Gail, and her staff at the Historical Museum, they have an exhibit. They have in the cabin was a major find and discovery, and having some tangible aspects, not only in the artifacts, but also the actual research and grounding it. Because when you go and look it up, you want to understand who's buried here, what's the story, what's the history, what was life like. And when you just see all these sensationalistic articles about a supposed witch, it doesn't really help you. It actually furthers and gets you further away from actually understanding and understanding the area, the region, the history, the life. It's tied into the lumber history, the railway history, so much Michigan history is just right under our noses, right under our feet, that we never would have known or actually understood in a tangible way if it wasn't for the artifacts and the documentation that the Historical Society was able to provide.
So I actually did this research for this project for months, and I couldn't find anything other than the myths of the witch and just a bunch of stuff that's like, oh, well, moss grows here because of the witch, or moss grows here because of whatever. So I couldn't find anything that was reputable. I had to dig and dig and dig. I started looking into the history of Michigan, the history of witchcraft as a whole, the history of moss, okay? I did a whole, like I have a whole book on stuff that I didn't need probably, but interesting to learn. I learned more during this project than I did in the 18 years I attended school. So the Historical Society was essential for me because they were, the little things that I did find, they were able to show me, well, actually, no, that is actually true. And I had half of my little booklet of my documentation, half of my little booklet of their documentation, and I was able to cross-reference each of them. And without that, I don't think I would have been comfortable saying that I did the research for this project, honestly, because there just wasn't a lot.
And not only is the Pere Cheney exhibit in the museum not missing a beat is wonderful and fantastic, the entire museum itself is worth an entire walkthrough because they do a wonderful job keeping every piece and artifact in there completely exactly how it should be. And bravo, kudos, we love you guys.
particular goal, I mean, as the editor, which is the only thing I can remember I was credited for in the film, as the editor, I know for a fact, this is definitive, 100% accurate. The goal in the edit was to, if you guys left wanting to go explore the museum, wanting to go, you know, I'm sure a lot of you have been to Pere Cheney as a kid, probably have a lot of fond or not so fond memories of Pere Cheney, depending on how the hazing went, perhaps in school. I know Brianna knows some family stories about how that used to go, but if it inspires anyone to go and reconnect with the nature out there, reconnect with the history, and importantly go and visit a museum and actually take a second look at what you think you know about the ghosts and the witch, and actually reconnect with it a little bit and walk through the museum. I think that's the goal.
What were some of the challenges that you faced while making this film, and how did you work through those things?
I think the big one for me personally is I have a very young daughter. So getting everybody on the exact same schedule and to be able to get a weekend or even just a few nights to be able to get us all together to go out there and experience what we did. It was an extremely hard task that you would not think would have been.
Yeah, so most of you probably don't know, we live all over the state of Michigan. Lansing, Western Michigan, Southwest Michigan, Canada, Wisconsin. So I mean, we're literally all over the state, Grayling, of course. So that was definitely a big bump in the entire scheduling process. And then on top of that, we had planned years ago to come up here and start the filming of the documentary. And as you saw at the very beginning, it never panned out the way it should have. There was massive storms, or something would come up where someone's like, oh, I can't, I took on a job or something like that, or my job won't let me have that weekend off. So that was definitely the biggest hurdle. And then obviously I think too, just not knowing exactly what we were getting into when we were going up there, because from a filming standpoint, we're just filming an empty field and some trees. So trying to make that come out as interesting as possible was also a giant challenge.
On that note, can we get a huge round of applause for Caleb Brennan over there? He drove 9 hours straight from the full Wisconsin to be here tonight, and every single shoot. He is an incredible filmmaker in his own right, and if you can just picture for a moment heavy cameras showing up after being sleep deprived, driving 9 hours straight like a maniac from Wisconsin, and then arriving to an empty field at midnight, not even knowing where you're, then barely seeing over a player. Oh, is that the one guy in the 8-person crew I know from childhood school? And then saying, here's a heavy camera, stay up for 12 more hours with us while we wander through the woods looking for a witch. And then driving 9 hours home right after, and then going through, and I'm filming too, and I'm thinking in my head, I got a great shot, this is going to make the movie. Nope, because all of his shots were way better. So big round of applause for Caleb Blake. Incredible filmmaker.
Can I just say I was the best camper out of the group? Slept like a baby in an April cold.
So we should also preface this, when we camped and you saw the fire, it was about 28 degrees when we went to sleep that night. And I think 85-90% of us had 70-degree rated sleeping bags, and we were not prepared, very ill prepared. And Caleb goes to sleep, and then we get up at about 6 in the morning, and we're like, yeah, it's time to go. I can't feel anything. And shaking his tent, Caleb, wake up, Caleb. In an hour and a half, we packed up. That boy slept through everything.
I will say too, there was a lot of, obviously if you want to watch the film, there's a lot of technical issues throughout the film, and there was actually a lot of problems with editing too. I think the scene with Tara doing the witchboard, like, she was doing that by herself, and we were, I don't remember where we were, but like that footage was gone, like it completely got wiped. I don't know what happened to it. And then along with that, like we had so much footage to go through, like we could have had like a 3 or 4 hour documentary, and it had to be cut down to like, what was it, hour and 22 minutes. So I think I would say another problem was like just going through the film and losing footage and stuff like that too.
Hey, you want 2 mics actually?
All right, so I'll open it up to the audience now. If you have any questions, and we don't have a mic for the audience, so if you do have a question, make sure to speak up.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead. This is my mom. I got a question. So when you guys were out there, you were talking about the energy, and at one point you talked about the electrical energy, right? So when you did all that and you all left and you went back home, did you get any residual after that? Did you have any physical experiences or anything?
I will say I had some vivid dreams of like 100% was walking right back to the cemetery. And like, you get that visceral feeling, especially when you have experiences like that out there. Like, I've had it, I would say 3 or 4 times throughout my investigating career now. And it's almost like you can't discern when the dream is happening, if you're there or if you're in the dream. And then when you wake up and you see that you're in your bedroom, you immediately go, well, was I being told something? Was my subconscious remembering something? And I don't know, like that in particular, like Pere Cheney itself, feels like that energy is heavy enough to just imprint itself into you.
I've only had one thing. I don't even know if it was really connected to Pere Cheney at all, but I never had anything happen at my house. And shortly after we had went up, I think it was the second time we went up to film, it was a week or 2 after, I had a light switch that I never used in my house. Like, I don't use that section, and it clicked up and turned on by itself. But that's the only experience I've ever had at my house after this. Like I said, I don't know if it's directly correlated with it at all, but referencing the electrical energy that I personally did feel at Pere Cheney, I have sensed that in many different paranormal locations, and it's almost like the way I would explain the feeling that you get is like walking through cobwebs that are like that static leg feel that you get when your like arm feels asleep.
So Ben and I have been doing paranormal investigating for 9 years at this point. And I'm the person in the group who's always like, oh, hey, Bree, did you bring your holy water and salt? So typically, like when we have those sorts of investigations, especially with Pere Cheney, where we had an off night, it felt heavy, we felt that electric energy. We don't want things following us home. We don't want things happening. So usually when I'm done with an investigation, and some of my other team members, when we're done, we're like, okay, if you're here and you're wanting to come with us, you have to stay. The big thing with paranormal investigating is setting boundaries, because you don't want things following you. And you have to set that boundary and verbally say it. And I personally have never had anything like follow me home, especially from Pere Cheney. I don't think any of us in our team had that experience. And like I said, it's just important to set that boundary, and that's what we try to do at the end of the investigation. So.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
All right, another question. We'll go in the back over there. Yes.
Where's the cabinet?
Where's the cabinet? Is the question.
Yeah, the cabin is on private property. So if you want to later, Gail, can anyone that's interested maybe get with the Historical Society and see if there's more information through the Historical Society. At the museum itself, there's an incredible display of Pere Cheney artifacts that you can go to during visiting hours that I highly recommend, and then can go from there. There's
a day or something. We were thinking about maybe setting up a day. I know some people reached out to us wanting to set up a day to help restore, so we might be setting something up soon about that. So stay tuned.
I just want to make one comment. She said that about the ghost following home. I went there just recently, and I was coming back. The car was in the garage, and I saw these fingerprints on the car. That they were in mud. So I don't know if that's ever happened to you.
Yeah, that was an experience that they had. They can speak on it. It didn't make it in the film because it was when they were getting drone shots, so there's no footage of it, just a photo, so it's hard to include in the film, but that's a common occurrence.
Yeah, so the very first time me and Riley went out there, we hadn't been out there previously. We hadn't seen a cemetery proper whatsoever, and we had just pulled down the 2-track and we got into like I would say that little roundabout dirt spot right there. And when I got out of the car and I looked at the back door, it looked exactly how you explained it, fingertips and fingerprints all over the back window, down the back door. And we hadn't been getting handsy with the back door because it was just me and Riley. We got in the front doors. We didn't have to get in back seats. So no idea what that was.
So being from from Grayling, one of the biggest things that I always heard about growing up in Grayling, going to Pere Cheney, I'll go out there at midnight and come back to your car, you're gonna find it locked, and you're gonna find little kid handprints and footprints all over it. And yeah, it sounds silly, it sounds stupid. One of my first times going out there by myself with a friend, she was just getting into paranormal investigating. Just took my car through a car wash. So my car was clean, covered in water, took the dirt road out there. Silly, stupid, why would you get your car washed and then drive on the dirt road? But anyways, we get there and we had some crazy experiences like what was in the film. We got growled at in the cemetery. We walk back to the car, my friend's like, nope, I'm done, let's leave. I'm like, pause. Let's look at my car and see if there's any handprints. And sure enough, there are little kid handprints all over my back window. I don't know kids. Like, why would there be little kid handprints on my back windshield? Like, there wouldn't be even remnants of like a little kid putting their hands on my windows. It made no sense. One of the first times I brought Ben out there, we had little kid footprints on the hood. And it's just one of those weird things that could be explained. Yeah, you could have some like residual residue of your fingers or something on your car and dust collects on it. But when you take your car through a car wash, all of that should be washed off, right? Like, so it's just one of those weird things that, yeah, it could be paranormal, but there's some other explanations sometimes too. So, but that is a great folklore history of Pere Cheney that's just adds on to it.
Not only that, we had a lot of people reach out to us, and one of the most common things that they have told us is about fingerprints or handprints on their cars. So not only us, it's not only you, a lot of other people as well has had that same experience.
And I know, and knew going in that was like one of the biggest claims there. And it was important to me editing to maybe not just lean into the folklore that everyone talks about. It was intentional to push the, word witch as far into the doc as I could. It took, 25-30 minutes before the word witch was even mentioned, so that's as long as I could go before I had to kind of cave and kind of mention that before we kind of disproved some of that sensationalistic lore surrounding it. But no one talks about the elemental stuff, the gremlins, that sort of more earthy, more high strangeness type of stuff out there, potential egregore type of things that I know we were all talking about, the mimic type of stuff. So I kind of wanted to lean into that kind of stuff, that if you're out there for a long time, you kind of pick up on that as opposed to, okay, this is whatever an experience is, let's just go very surface level.
And to add this, and probably lastly, we did not talk between ourselves about a lot of this lore beforehand. Me and Riley had not heard anything about these fingerprints being on cars before that. The orange light that I saw personally out in the cemetery, I hadn't known anything about that until we all came back together after I had seen that, and that's when Tara dropped that little nugget on me. So I definitely think there's something to a lot of these legends that are living up there right now.
All right, another question. I have a lot. All right, let's go. Yes.
Okay. My question is specifically for Tara. Okay. So I see your witch board, and it is beautiful. But my question is, you said that you had put some of your blood on it, which I think I can see in like fingerprint. Why? Like, does that? Does it like make you closer to the board, or like?
So essentially, it kind of makes it my own. So when I put my own self onto something, it gives me a connection that someone else won't have with it. So the theory behind it would be that if I was to use this board with it having this connection to me, that maybe it would open up something that I couldn't open up without that connection. Did it work? Maybe. Would it have worked just as well without it? Maybe. But it was just something that I definitely wanted to try. Blood magic is very common practice, and it goes back hundreds of years for people who have done this. And so I decided that building a connection was better than not building a connection.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, another question.
What was the scariest or like spookiest question?
What was your scariest or spookiest experience?
I'll say mine since I already have the microphone. So we camped out there, Tommy Tombstone was not camped. So we were sharing a tent, and he decided that 20 degrees was too cold for him. And he sat in the car and said, I'm going to drive home right now at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I had to take the tent down by myself.
You said yes.
And during this, I had actually felt or saw what I thought was Tommy coming to help me take down the tent. And so I saw this person dressed in all black, and usually he's wearing brown today, but usually wears all black. And I see this person in all black come up and walk behind me and stand there. And so I turn around with an attitude, like, are you gonna help me take this down? Like, you're just gonna leave me to take this down? You're just staring at me? There was nobody there. So I had seen somebody walk up behind me that wasn't really there. I went to go check, and he was warm and toasty in the car.
For me, I think one of the more spookiest times was honestly when the coyotes were howling. Even though most people probably wouldn't be scared of coyotes, it was just kind of like everything that was going on with what Tara was saying when she was in the Estes method. And I don't know, sometimes your brain just goes to other directions, and you're like making connections that may not be there, but you're telling yourself that they're true. Thinking that, you know, maybe like that fantasy thought and whimsical thought that the coyotes are actually, you know, the witch like singing to you is kind of something that spooked me in the moment.
So the thing that really got me never actually made into the doc because it was so obscure. We were on the railroad tracks, and I happened to look down the railroad tracks towards the plant that was down there. And I mean, it was a good like 500, 600 yards down the tracks. And the way that you can see the lights and illuminate that building, you can tell that they're at least like 14, 15 feet off the ground. Well, while we were standing there, I had seen a black mass that was as tall as the lights from that far away block out the light and move across the railroad tracks. And I kind of looked at everybody and I said, did anybody else see that? And I forgot who it was that also said, I seen the light get blotched out. 100%. And I looked at you and I said, I didn't see that.
Another thing that's like really creepy about things that we do is that, you know, we go out there, we do our investigation, we have our cameras rolling, and then we're done. And it's like, okay, so we're done, we got what we needed, turn off the cameras, but just because we turn off the cameras, it doesn't stop being haunted. So we had to stay out there camping alone in the pitch black, knowing that regardless of cameras being on, experiences were still going to happen.
So I wouldn't say this is like the scariest thing, but I think it's one of the coolest things that happened that actually didn't make the film. And so when you watch the film, when you saw us doing the ring around the rosy thing, that wasn't just for like shits and giggles. That was actually like a thing we did. And during that, or was it after, I believe, we did an EVP session, and we had this full-blown conversation with a little kid, and it was like boom, boom, boom. Like you would ask her a question, they would answer. And unfortunately, like I think maybe one of the EVPs made it in the film because you could actually hear it. The rest, like you could not hear. I was so disappointed, but that was probably the coolest moment, I would say, when we filmed the documentary.
Yeah, in the moment there were 7 or 8 voices on there, and then we go back to add them and, you know, post and take the audio from the recorder to put it under, you know, to make it clear, and they just weren't on the device at all. And I was like, okay. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but that's not going in there because it doesn't exist on the file. I do appreciate though that all the scariest moments were the ones that I cut from the film. So after Tara puts out the Moss memoirs, we might get the what we wish made it in cut.
Okay, I'll give you one that's still in there. When my phone was the wide-angle lens that was the one that flips sideways, so that when that video goes up on the screen, there's like a little glitch that happened. That was not an effect added after. My phone actually did that glitchiness, and I can't explain that, and I also can't explain why the audio is slowed down when the recording is not in slow motion either. And I don't know how it would have adjusted in one video from a normal video directly into a slow-mo, because those are different modes on your phone. So I really can't explain that, and that one does kind of, even just thinking of it now, like gives me the chills. Like, how did that happen? I've filmed thousands and thousands of videos, and I've never seen a video slow its audio and glitch out like that.
Yeah, we're all filmmakers. When we go and film a wedding for someone, you know, that doesn't happen. And then we go to Pere Cheney, you know, the next day that happens, so.
All right, we have time for a couple more questions. So,
Yes. Was wondering how many times did you go out there? Was that the only night you camped?
I think it was 3 trips, but like,
One camping?
yeah, one camping. We all would have camped again. Some people. Some people didn't want to, but I think it was 3 trips, but like 3 days we came up, and one night we would go to Pere Cheney, or one day out of the trip we would go to Pere Cheney, and then the rest. Most of the film was filmed in Grayling, the Historical Society, at the cabin. We did a lot of the interviews at the Harvard Pines, at the Chapel in the Pines. We spent a day seeing all the old growth trees that would have been around of the time to get B-roll that didn't make it in the film. So a lot of it was hanging out in Grayling, seeing the sights, soaking it all in, spending time at the museum.
So Tommy kind of referenced this already, but was there any specific moment in the project where you're like, oh shit, this is like a real life Blair Witch?
I like your energy.
I'm a theater kid.
I don't really know. I mean, I think like the thing that Riley just talked about, like that whole thing with his gimbal falling over, and like that kind of gave me like found footage vibes. Like it really looks like it happened because it did. But other than that, like I would say just being out there alone in the woods is like the whole like, oh man, this is the real deal. So I think like, cause when you watch a lot of these paranormal shows, they're always in like these creepy buildings and stuff. But to me, doing it over the years, I think being outside, stranded in the middle of nowhere is creepier than anything else.
I think the most Blair Witch aspect of it is once we were camping, we had about, what, a 15-minute walk from where we were camping into the cemetery proper. And when you get into that little two-track and it starts getting skinny, and you see like all of the wood just like coming, like it seems like off the trail and like right into your skin, that gave me the Blair Witch vibes for sure.
I would say just the camping definitely gave the most Blair Witch vibes, especially because like we were out, we didn't bring any firewood, so we were like scrounging all night as the temperatures dropped. Having to walk out into the woods, look for as much firewood as we could, and the firewood out there was terrible. Burned up in like 20 seconds, so it was a constant, never-ending cycle. Walking through the woods with just a flashlight, hoping it didn't die, you know?
Going off of like what Trevor said with walking, because the place where the camp was and where the actual cemetery is, it's not very close together. And for some reason, some of us decided to walk that, like idiots. And you really, it's so pitch black out there. And yeah, you can have flashlights, but there's nothing lighting up behind you. Anything can be behind you. And you can just feel the darkness from the woods. You can feel the eyes. It just feels like something's watching you. And I'm used to being in the woods at night. I live in Grayling. I live out in the middle of nowhere. I'm used to the dark in the woods. There's just something about Pere Cheney walking in the woods that's just terrifying. So,
going off of that, like the energy and also the shape of the environment in that clearing, it's a very specific kind of, because the clearing is wide open, there's trees all around you that are incredibly tall, the sky is like, there's no artificial light obviously, so there's nothing but stars in the sky. It almost has like a dome effect over your head, like it feels infinite, but it also feels like trapping. And especially because it's so silent out there, I don't think I've ever been in a place that's as quiet as that place was. The occasional owl or the occasional coyote was like the only sound. It was nuts.
So I was the only one that got left out there alone. Which is something that Tommy has done to me more than once. So for me, that was definitely very Blair Witch. I was out there hearing cracks in the trees, and I mean, I live in Canada, so I spend a lot of time in the woods. There's nothing else there. And yeah, it was actually terrifying. I got up and actually, Austin saw me get up and ran thinking that I was like dying or something. Because they were like way on the other side, could see me, but were nowhere near me. And yeah, that was pretty sketchy.
That wasn't very cool of him. Did you ever marry him? How did that go?
We're already divorced.
This was last weekend they got married.
Well, I was just going to ask, who's Austin?
Yeah, who's Austin?
They both changed their names last week. Marriage.
All right, well, I think that about wraps it up for us. Thank you all again for coming out and supporting independent filmmakers. Thank you to our filmmakers for doing this Q&A. Thank you to the Historical Society. This film exists with you. Thank you to Artisan for hosting.
And thank you, Ashley, for helping facilitate and there's a great article from a couple months ago in the Avalanche written by a pretty good reporter about the film too. So you can check it out if you subscribe to Avalanche.
Yeah, and then if you had asked a question, we have your posters up here.
Thank you.